Hello and welcome back. I am Pink Girl Teaches, and on this channel, I talk about narcissistic abuse awareness as well as recovery. If it's your first time, welcome, and I invite you to press subscribe, turn on the notifications, jump in the comments so we can talk, as well as like and share. And if you are coming back, it's great to see you, and thank you so much for continuing to support me in my journey as I support you. I enjoy talking to you in the comments, and I'm sorry if I'm not able to get back to you right away, but I'm going to make every effort to reach out to you, and so we can continue the conversations that we're having. So today I want to talk about co-parenting with a narcissist. One of the most important things I think you should know is that you can never co-parent with a narcissist. It's always going to be about them counter-parenting you or counter-parenting in the situation. I'm getting a little tongue-tied there. Now, a little bit about my background or my children. I have two. My oldest is 16 and the younger one is 13. So my children are pretty much at the point where they can articulate what they want. They can express themselves. And, for a while, for a long time, I didn't let them, I didn't try to, push them to go to him or not to go to him. I allowed them to just say what they want to say about him, but I let them figure out he is for themselves. So it was never about me trying to, trying to paint their father a certain type of way. I don't think that, that would be fair. And it would, those type of things, when you do that, it can backfire against you. Don't ever down talk their other parent, because I think sometimes it actually affects them emotionally, because this is their parent, and they may question themselves, like, what about me? How does she think about me? Or how am I like that person? But my first thing that I want to say to you is expect challenges. We know that we are dealing with a narcissist, quite possibly a sociopath or a psychopath. And so it's not going to follow the normal course of how it would be when we are co-parenting after a relationship breaks up or after there's a divorce. It's going to be different. So just expect those challenges. What can you expect? They're going to gaslight the children. They're going to gaslight them to feel like maybe you are the one who was wrong, or things are the way that they are because of you. They're going to make the children feel guilty about the breakdown of the relationship or the marriage. And they'll project on the kids the very things that they do to you, they can do to the children, but they may also have a scapegoat child. So you've got to expect all of those things. And I think, it's very important, if you are able to put your children in therapy as quickly as possible, as soon as possible, once your relationship deteriorates, or you go through the divorce. If you're still in the relationship, then just still put them in that therapy so that they can get the tools that they need to deal with what's going on at home, and also process how they are feeling, because you want your children to grow up to be healthy, normal, functioning adults. And so it's just great that if once you recognize that there's a problem, to bring in the tools that the child needs so that they can get the help that they need. And when I talk about getting therapy, when you're dealing with a toxic person like a narcissist, I feel like it's important that you do get a therapist who is well versed in those areas or with that subject, because it just brings a little more clarity, or they're able to see things knowing the tech or the tools that the narcissist uses. It's not everybody who is aware of this, and you've got to remember that. But another thing is, establish a legal plan. Have your visitation set out for dads, and I know some moms also don't have full custody of their children. Have a legal plan where you're able to fall back on the courts. Use the courts to your advantage to say, this is what our visitation looks like. And when they violate the visitation, which you must expect, then you go through the process to notify the courts, so that there's a track record of that. Luckily for me, I don't really have that problem, because in our situation, he's in a totally different state. And um I mean, I've been like, even when we were married, I was pretty much a single parent, and I know some of you are able to identify that. So once we moved, we were relocated from New Jersey to Texas, it just carried on like how it has always been. Every now and then he does show his face and he wants his kids for this or that, but our kids are old enough now, they can say what they want, and our divorce decree works in their in their favor. So, use the courts if you need to continually, fight for your child, because it's not just that you're not getting to connect with your child or be in their life, but it also messes with their emotions, their mental health state. Especially when you have multiple children, they may begin to put those children, put them against each other, and just, the same things that they do in these intimate relationships, they do with their children. I've seen it. It's ugly. And if you don't catch these things early, you're going to either breed another narcissist or a codependent, and it's toxic. Like, I'm watching this unfold, where a dad has throughout her life put this daughter against the mother. Now I'm sure that there are dynamics in there that I don't know, but to watch it unfold is like, it's really something. And in all things, we're not perfect. Even as parents, we make mistakes, we make poor decisions, we can do better in some things. But to have your child throw your mistakes when you genuinely love them back at you, it's pretty hurtful. And that's all because of where, who's been conditioning this person. So just be careful that, you are doing your best to help your child navigate through life with a toxic person, with a toxic parent. It's really tricky, but do your best to use the courts, and as well as engage mental health as early as possible, just to give your child a fighting chance. It's important that you have your boundaries. Now, like I mentioned with my ex-husband, we're in different states. I For the most part, I am no contact. I do have his phone number, he has mine, and sometimes I get texts from him from, I'm laughing because now I can just see it, because he watches these videos. So I'm talking to you about these things, and I'm just like, the backlash I'm about to get for this. But like, listen, if I can use this as an example to make it relevant or help you with your process, then I'll take the backlash. I can deal with it. So, bring it on or whatever. But, it's important that you have your boundaries. For me, I had to block him off social media. And it's crazy because, like, I've talked about, my social media is public, and so are my stories public too. So when I post something semi-personal in my story, it's real funny that the next thing I get a text from him that's talking about what's in my story. Like, why are you following me like this? What are you doing? Like, you know, and it's like that with the children. He stalks their social media. And to a certain degree, I get it that you want to see what your children are doing and that kind of thing. But theirs is all super private, so I really don't know what there is to see. But, they do things like that. I'm using myself as an example again, have your boundaries. So when it comes to our kids, they're old enough. They know who he is for themselves. I've never at one point in my life or in their lives talked bad about their dad. It was always a big thing for me to let them make their own decisions about who he is, because you don't want to badmouth the other parent, that one day they come to you and question why you said what you said or why you did what you did, and then now you're going to come from a place of shame because you said those things about him. Do your very best not to down talk the other parent, and make sure that whoever your child is around knows that they're not going to talk poorly about their other parent. It affects the way that they see themselves, it affects the way that they see the other parent, and it also affects the way that they look at you. You don't know what's going to happen down the line. You don't know what kind of life experiences they're going to have. Always just be honest, tell them the truth, and just be respectful. Don't, let them formulate their own opinions. I can tell you from my own experience with my children, they have made their own decisions about who he is, and they're very accurate. I have never influenced them in any way to see who he is or what he does. They come to those conclusions themselves, and it comes from how he parents, his how available he is for them, how supportive he is to them. Is he fair with both of them? There's an imbalance there, and they're able to see it for themselves. And even when he would try to get me to get one child to talk to him more, I'll be like, I'm not doing that. You're the father. You have their phone numbers. Reach out to them, talk to them yourself, because they're old enough. And for me, it was like, you that was just a hard boundary. Like, no, show up and be involved. Don't be a Kodak moment type of parent. I'm not supporting the foolishness. Your boundaries are important, and this is where you now can enforce your gray rock tool. The gray rock tool is simply like having these boundaries, respecting them. The only person that needs to respect your boundaries, first of all, is you. You don't need to tell them like, this is my boundary, and so no, you don't need to do any of that. Your boundaries are there to protect and to preserve who you currently are, as well as who you are becoming. Your boundaries are there to protect and preserve who your children are today, as well as who they are becoming. We want to get to a point where the children that we are raising are not going to have to spend their good years in adulthood, many years, trying to recover from childhood injuries. So do your best. So with a gray rock technique, that's what you're going to be, is like a gray rock. Think how dull and how boring a gray rock is. That's how you should be with a narcissistic parent. Keep the conversations to purely be about the children, nothing more, nothing less. You're dating, you have somebody who's better than the narcissist, awesome. That's none of their business. Leave them guessing. They have no business knowing anything about your personal life that doesn't concern them. No, they don't need to know anything. If you're going to be getting married or whatever, then at the appropriate time you can let them know. But they don't need to know that, because they're going to start, oh, they're nothing like me, he's nothing like me. And if this is my ex, well, nobody can do it like me. Really? I don't know about that, but whatever. But they will do stuff like that. So limit the contact, keep it purely about the children, nothing personal, and be as boring and as dull as possible, because that turns them off. The narcissist gets bored, they're going to call you, they'll tell you like, you are so boring, your life, this, that. Yeah, embrace all of that. It's for your advantage, and let them go. Don't ever get to a point where you feel like you need to engage in an emotional battle with them, because guess what? You are always going to lose. They are great at in fact, they're professional victims, they are professional liars, and they love drama. And we're not doing that. They can do that over there, wherever they are, but don't engage them in that. That's what they want. That's what they're trying to do, so that they can fall back and say, I told you she was crazy. I told you he was a psychopath. I told you, you don't understand what I'm doing. Don't feed them. Don't feed them. Don't feed that sleeping bear. Don't poke that sleeping bear. Just let it be. Just don't engage. Say what you have to say and keep it moving, and limit your contact as much as possible. Document everything. Document when they're late with the kids, what they what happened, how the kids are doing after they coming from the other parent or going to the other parent. Keep a record of these things. If they've been inappropriate, they've been abusive towards you or whatever. Keep documentation, and where you need to involve the law, involve the police, involve the authorities, so that you can protect yourself as well as your children, because these people know no boundaries, and everything is a competition. So they want to win. They want to make you the bad person. They want to they want to just indoctrinate their children into this foolishness that they call their lives. I remember one time, and I don't really remember what it was. The kids were like they came looking at me like with so much disgust. I was like, guys, what's wrong? And they were like, Daddy said that you did this, and I'm like, what? I didn't do any of those things. What he did is take a situation where he did wrong, he flipped it around so that he's the victim and I get the blame. And I was like, really? He did that? That's what he said? And I was like, they were too young for me to get into the details with it. But we revisited that conversation, and it wasn't even me who brought it up, it was them. So these things will happen. You'll get your chance. You don't have to fight for anything. This is God's battle. Sometimes, the word tells us that when you've done all that you can do, just stand. So just stand on his truth, stand in his promise, stand firm in knowing that you are doing what you need to do, that you are providing for your children, that you are nurturing them, that you are loving them. And when I say providing, I'm not just talking about financially, I'm talking about emotionally, physically, spiritually, in every way that you can cover your children. Do it. Do it to the best of your ability. Never ever talk poorly about the other parent, because you don't want it to come back to you. They're already hearing a truckload of stuff about you. Don't add to that. One day they'll be able to fall back and say, okay, it wasn't really mommy's fault, or it wasn't really daddy's fault, it was your fault. And so that's all I have for you today. Let me know what you think. What would you add? What is your experience with co-parenting with a narcissist been like? What would you add? What would you subtract from what I say? How would you advise somebody who is struggling in this area right now? I want to thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm Pink Girl Teaches. If you like anything that I've said, go ahead and hit subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I will be talking to you in the comments. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Bye.